chapter 6. And the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Declare unto us wherewith we shall send it to its place. And they said, If you send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a guilt offering. Then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then they said, What shall be the guilt offering which we shall return to him? And they said, 5 golden emerods, and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for one plague was on you all, and on your lords. Wherefore you shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice, that mar the land, and you shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from off of you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore then do you harden your hearts, and as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts, when he had wrought among them? Did they not let the people go, and they departed? Now therefore take and prepare you a new cart, and 2 milch kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which you return him for a guilt offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away, that it may go. And see, if it goeth up by the way of its own border to Bethshemesh, then he hath done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us, it is a chance that happened to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they put the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer, with the mice of gold, and the images of their emerods. And the kine took the straight way by the way to Bethshemesh. And they went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them unto the border of Bethshemesh. And they of Bethshemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley. And they lifted up their eyes, and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua the Bethshemite, and stood there, where there was a great stone. And they cleaved the wood of the cart, and offered up the kine for a burnt offering unto the Lord. And the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on a great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the golden emerods, which the Philistines returned for a guilt offering unto the Lord: for Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, and for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines, belonging to the 5 lords, both of the fortified cities and the country villages, even unto Abel, by the great stone, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Bethshemite. And he smote of the men of Bethshemesh, because they had gazed upon the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 70 men, and 50,000 men. And the people mourned, because the Lord had smitten the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Bethshemesh said, Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God, and to whom shall it go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have brought back the ark of the Lord. Come you down, and fetch it up to you. All right, let's go back to verse 1. Now we remember, Philistines have stolen the ark. God has put a plague on the 3 cities there, and they are wanting to return it now. And the ark of verse 1, and the ark of the Lord was in the country of the Philistines for 7 months. And 7 means perfection. Months is a period of time that is ruled by the moon, or the lesser light, the period of darkness. And this is perfect darkness. 2, and the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Declare unto us wherewith we shall send it to its place. So the Philistines now have got the priest and their diviners, and they're saying, hey, tell us how we should send this thing back to where it came from. Verse 3, and they said, if you send away the ark of the God of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a guilt offering. Then you shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. So they said, now, if you're going to send this away, make sure you don't send it away empty. Put a guilt offering with it. That way you can be healed for what you've done, and this thing will be known whether this is God that's done this or not. 4, then said they, what shall be the guilt offering which we shall return to him? And they said, 5 golden emerods and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines, for one plague was on you all, and on your lords. So here the Philistines, these drifters, these ones that drift from God's word, are asking, and the priest will tell them, this is what kind of guilt offering you shall send, an offering for your guilt. These 5 golden emerods, gold being that which belongeth to God, and 5 being his grace, or his mercy. And these emerods represent those hornets that was in the skin. These are burning tumors in the skin, or discomfiture of the flesh. And the 5 golden mice are that which belongeth to God, and these 5 being for grace, or God's mercy. The mice stand for that which it's gnawed, and it's tore up the whole land, gnawing at them, and they've questioned why this has been going on, and that's what these mice represent, that which is constantly gnawing, this questioning. And here we are once again between Zorah and Eshtaol. According to the number of the lords, that there were 5 Philistines. The lords of the Philistines were 5, and they sent 1 emerald, and these golden mice were without number, as we'll soon find out, back with the ark. 5, wherefore you shall make images of your emerods, and images of your mice, that mar the land, and you shall give glory unto the God of Israel. Suppose he will lighten his hand from you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. 5, we notice, this is why, they say, this is why you shall make images, because he's done this to you. These emerods, he's put these on you, and these mice, and you shall make them, and supposing he will lighten his hand from off of you, and off of your gods, and off your land. And we notice here they're recognizing this God of Israel as being a supreme God, and God is showing himself to the Philistines, but they're not quite getting it. They're still going to continue to chase after their idols after the ark's gone. 6, why then do you harden your hearts? Or wherefore? As the Egyptians and Pharaohs hardened their hearts when he had worked among them. Did they not let the people go, and they departed? And basically the priests are asking these leaders of the Philistines, why do you harden your hearts? Why don't you want to do this? Don't like the Egyptians did, and Pharaoh hardened his heart. And we remember God hardened the heart of Pharaoh, and God had done this to the Philistines. See, God had hardened their heart enough that he could punish them for what they've done, because there's both sides are being punished here. There is no one who doesn't get punished for going astray from God, for not upholding to the covenant. 7, now therefore take and prepare you a new cart, and 2 milch kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. So now we got these 2. Now witness this. 2 always going to be witness. Now witness this. They said, take a new cart, build you a new cart, new ox cart. It's like a 2-wheeled wheelbarrow. And take these 2 milch kine, these 2 heifer cows, and milch means they're nursing. They're still got a calf on them, and they're nursing this calf, but on which there has come no yoke. So they've never been worked in the field. They've never used them to pull a plow or to pull a cart or nothing like this before. So they have no understanding of that if when you hook a cart up to them, of which way to go or what to do. 8. And they take the ark of the Lord, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which you return him for a guilt offering, in the coffer by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go. So they're telling them now, once you've got this cart, and you've got these 2 milch cows, and you've hooked them to it, put the ark on there, and these jewels of gold, these things which you're returning for a guilt offering, and this represents that which belongs to God anyway. The gold does. That's his, that he has caused to pass through the fire, and that he is purified. It belongs to him. 9. And see, if it goeth by the way of its own border to Beth Shemesh, then he hath done us this great evil. So what they're saying is, now, once you've got this yoked up, and you got everything loaded in the cart, and let these cows go. Of course, they've got their young calves tied up at the house, as we're getting ready to find out. And the nature would be that they would hear these calves lowing or bawling. They would go to them. But we'll see. They're testing it out just to see if it's of God or not. 10. And the men did so, and they took the 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. So they've done just what they said. They've shut the calves up at home, and they've took these 2 kine. 11. And they put the ark of the Lord upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice and the gold and the images of the emerods. So we got the cart all loaded up, and the kine took the straight way by the way to Beth Shemesh. They went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them to the border of Beth Shemesh. So the cows took off straight away. They knew where they was going. They had more sense probably than most people at this moment. God's got control of these 2 cows, and he's got the reins, and he's steering them back to where they come from. And Beth Shemesh is going to be a town inside the border of Judah there, because the Philistines was currently controlling this whole strip, a whole area of land down through there near Gaza and all that area right through down through there. So the Philistines now, these drifters, have followed it back to Beth Shemesh. Beth Shemesh means the house of the sun. House of the sun temple is what it is. They had a temple to their sun god, Shemesh, set up there. And this is what this town is. 13. And they of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes and saw the ark and rejoiced to see it. So here are these people of Beth Shemesh, and they're bringing in their harvest. They planted, and the harvest has come to full, and they're reaping their harvest, and here comes the ark of God, and they're rejoicing to see it come. These are probably Judeans. And the cart, 14, came into the field of Joshua, the Bethshemite, and stood there. And there was a great stone, and they cleaved the wood of the cart, and offered up the kine for a burnt offering unto the Lord. So now, the carts come into the field of Joshua, Yeshua. This means salvation. The Bethshemite, and Bethshemite here, we remember, is the house of the sun. And they stood there, and there was a great stone, and they cleaved the wood, or they chopped the wood of this cart up. So they took the cart, and they've chopped it up, and they're going to offer these 2 kine, these 2 heifers that have not known a yoke until they've pulled the ark. And these 2, once again, are going to be so that you can witness this. 6:15, and the Levites took down the ark of the Lord, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Bethshemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto the Lord. So we see now that they did get the Levites to bring down the ark, because they knew that nobody could touch this but a Levite. And the Levites, once again, have took the ark of God, and they've got it out of the cart. They've set it on the rock there with the jewels and all this. Then they've cut up this cart and offered up these burnt sacrifices. 16. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And Ekron, we remember, means plucked up violently by the roots. So they returned to where they've come from, these drifters, these five. This is being the grace of that God showed to them, that they might see this and behold it with their eyes and believe, but they did not. They didn't have no understanding. They returned and went on about their way. But God had at this time exposed himself once again to other nations, that they could have understanding and share it as well, but they didn't receive him at that time. And we're going to find that out. And these are the golden emerods, which the Philistines returned for a guilt offering unto the Lord. For Ashdod one, for Gaza one, for Ashkelon one, for Gath one, and for Ekron one. And these would be where the five lords of the Philistines would rule over these five cities. Ashdod means a great destruction. Gaza is always the strong. Ashkelon, it shall be judged or weighed out. Gath is the winepress, and Ekron is going to be plucked up violently, because that's what God's doing here. He's plucking up violently that which he had planted, that which he had thought to bring to the winepress and bring forth a good harvest. But here he's brought great destruction in the place of these strong, and he's weighing out, and he's balancing, and he's judging as he goes. 18. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the tribes of the Philistines, belonging to the five lords, both of fortified cities and the country villages, even unto Abel, by the great stone, whereon they set down the ark of the Lord, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua the Bethshemite. So these mice, we find that their number was according to the number of all the cities and towns which these mice had been sent to as a plague. And these five Philistines, that belong to these five Philistines, even from Abel, this is going to be probably from one end unto the other end. And we find out from Abel by the great stone, this meadow, Abel means meadow, by the great stone, and this is where they set the ark of God down on, and it's still there today, according to this, in the field of Joshua the Bethshemite. And he smote of the men of Bethshemesh, because they had 19, and they had gazed upon the ark of the Lord. Even he smote of the people 70 men and 50,000 men, and the people mourned, because the Lord had smitten the people with a great slaughter. So now the ark of God's made its way back to the border, but we see God's not done punishing. He's going to punish here in this house of the Son. He's going to punish here, because why? They have gazed upon the ark of God. They gazed in and looked at that which they had no business. We remember that only the priests of the Levites were allowed to touch this ark, was allowed to look and gaze upon it, look in it. But now these men have all sinned against God. Whether they know it or not, God's going to punish them. And he does. He punishes 70 men. And this 70 means restoration. God restores. See, God restores Israel, and he is redoing this at this time. 50,000. That he slaughtered 50,000 as well. And this 50,000 is because great God, in his divine fulfillment of the law, has shown grace. And this is how God has exposed himself here. This 50 means the Holy Spirit has been witnessed. And that's what he did to the Philistines. He let them witness his Holy Spirit. And they had no understanding. And the men of Bethshemesh said, Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God, and to whom shall it go up from us? So now these men of the Son have asked themselves, they've looked in there and sinned against God, and this great slaughter has taken place, and they want to know just who can stand before this holy God, and to whom shall it go from here? 21, and they sent messengers to the inhabitant of Kiriath Jearim, saying, The Philistines have brought back the ark of the Lord. Come you down and fetch it up to you. So now God's going to move on down the road a little bit. We've made it into Judah now, and God's going to move on down the road. So they've called to Kiriath Jearim, and that's on up here by the far southwest border of Benjamin. So God's heading to Shiloh, it looks like, and he's got everybody helping him here, moving him along, and they're just glad he's going, it looks like. So Kiriath Jearim is the city of forest. We remember it. So the messengers have come to Kiriath Jearim from Beth-Shemesh, and they say, "Come and get this thing, and take it up to where you're at." And that's where we're going to stop today. God, we see, is moving on down. He's making his way back. See, he's not having as much trouble as everybody might think he is. Seems like everybody's having trouble around him. But God doesn't need no help. God's going to return to where he goes, with or without anyone's help. See, this is where God belongs. God come through the law. He showed grace to mankind through the law. You will return to God. You're the one that's went astray now. See, God's went nowhere. You have, and you've turned from God. You're not being obedient to the law. We see it in society. We see it all around us. So there's no one going to lie. This is the sentiment of society, and this is what we see. Turn from your sin. All right, let's move on. We're going to chapter 7.